Hey, welcome back to Midnight Mischief Garage. In this episode, we are going to start working on the rear of this car. We're going to cut the trunk out, we're going to cut the wheel tubs out, and ultimately, we're going to take the tail panel out. I'm going to give you guys a real-world look on what it's like to work with these aftermarket panels. The tail panel really kind of threw me for a loop. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching. Back on the Chevelle, we've got our supports repositioned. Got a little bit of counterweight up here. Just took an old engine block, ratchet strapped it to the crossbar. For those of you not familiar with this car, we've got the floor all in, the toe boards, inner lower cowl or kick panels, whatever you want to call them. Rocker is in, lower half of the door pillar is in. It's time to get started on that mess back there. Let's go take a look. This is where we're at back here. This is where we're going to start. Kind of started digging around. Poke around and you find some shit. This was all Bondoed, all body filler. These holes are, for me, just digging. Back here, more digging for me. Pretty soft. Pretty crappy back here. It doesn't matter. It's all getting cut out. The wheel wells. I've got inner wheel tubs. Not sure if we're going to section them, but the way this car is gone, might just replace the entire tub. Need some light back here. Tail panel. Trunk, tail panel. That is all pretty crispity, crunchy. Not good. Same in here. The rest of this panel isn't too bad. Started digging around in here. The spot welds, I'm having a really hard time finding the spot welds on this particular side. A couple here. The weather stripping channel actually doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that don't seem too bad at all. This is good. Everywhere you turn, doesn't matter. That's all getting cut out. Trunk extensions, that's all getting cut out. We got new trunk extensions. This came in this week. This is what I'm going to work on today. Got a tail panel. Pretty decent shape. It's a little rolled right here. It'll have to be straightened out. It's always a surprise when you get a box and open it up. Never know what you're going to get inside that box. This don't seem too bad though. Holes are already pre-drilled or pre-punched. There's 4 more holes that are going to have to go in here. There's a piece of trim that sits right here. But that is, I think we're a long ways away from worrying about that. I'm probably not going to show a whole lot of pulling this tail panel out. And I will be back when we get some more. Alright, we got updates. Tail panel is out. It took about, I don't know, it took me about 6 hours to get this out. End up just cutting it along the bottom. Cut the braces, because I'm not reusing them. We'll get new braces. Kind of garbage anyway. But what I noticed, I thought this was pretty cool. Find a spot here. They've got a stamping on here. This is 13617. So that must be for the Malibu, since the Malibu is 136 and the Super Sport is 138. Thought that was kind of cool. Show you the back. Here we go. It's out. found this was nothing but filler. I didn't have to, when I cut it all along through here. Was able to get most of the spot welds out. I had a hard time finding where the spot welds were at over on this side, so we got a little Swiss cheese going on over here, but hey, it is what it is. Then after I had the panel out, even though this is all getting cut out, I drilled out all the spot welds and pulled off the remaining pieces of the tail panel. Ended up cutting this section out. Got a lot to drill out on that, so we just cut it out. But I wanted to leave this in because this is original height and I want to fit this new tail panel, so we'll give it a shot. Tail panel is in. Here's our first test piece, or test fit. Yeah, look at that quality. So yeah, we got, don't fit too bad. There's an alignment hole. There's an alignment hole. Over here it fits pretty good with the alignment holes. I am even 27 5/8 to here. From out here to here. Boy, these things are off a bunch. This is where my inexperience is really going to slow me down here. I've got a pencil mark right here. I don't quite know how to fix this, so I think I'm going to make a cut right there, and if I have to pie cut somewhere in here to get this thing to kind of, you know, just roll over, that's what I'm going to do. And if it don't work, then I'll have to fix it somehow to do the same over here. I don't know of any other way to do this. But from back here it looks nice in the car. Alright, I'm gonna go set this up. Let's make a cut. Been staring at this long enough. Don't know if it'll work or not. Let's just do it. Tail panel. I'm curious who decides the final design of these pieces. I mean, man, that is so far off. I know I don't expect them to drop right in and everything to fit, but with a panel like this, to me there's two main components to this panel. It's these holes here for the tail light extensions, and this strip rail, your weather stripping channel. I think those would be the two things that you would want to really line up. I don't know. Thought people were better than that. here's how it turned out. It might look a little ugly right now, but man, we got it to fit. So that's tweaked up a little bit, but I like it. One down, one to go. If anybody's going to be putting in a tail panel for a 66 Chevelle, and your tail panel is from AMD, be prepared to do this. This channel went way out. It's way out here. So I ended up making a cut here, and then we pie cut back here. Got that channel to line up. Did the same over here. I don't know if they know their panel is that far off or what, but we got it to fit. I got my center line marked. It's 27 3/4 inches from this line to here, and it's the same from here to here. So this panel is pretty well centered up. So I think I'm going to leave this clamped in, and I'd like to get started on cutting out the trunk and then get started on these wheel well housings. I need to decide what I'm going to do there yet, but I think I'm going to leave, I think I might cut up to right about here and just leave all this intact for right now, but get the bulk of this out and start working up over here. So I think I'm going to throw some tunes on. I don't know if I'm going to film cutting this trunk out or not. Kind of already seen the same thing with the floor. I'm going to kind of clean up my mess here, start cutting. So check this out. Sheet metal and body filler all through here. This was right in here. Wow, holy crap, look at that. Beautiful. I knew this trunk was a mess. I didn't really realize it was bubblegum and dreams holding it together. But we're gonna start working on all this here. It all looks like to be sheet metal. So I think I'm about ready to cut this wheel tub out. This, everywhere you see light, that was all body filler. I mean, there was nothing holding this together. Hopes and dreams. Body mount right there. Got this separated. I should have anchored this, but that's alright. That should be all loose up there. I think I've got this one loose. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, or try to cut it out. And then when I get it cut out, I'll get you back in. Alright, so we got the wheel tub out. This is probably going to be right up in your face. I don't have a whole lot of room to move in here. The wheel tub is out. Got some rust damage here. This has been replaced from here down on this lower quarter. What I did is I cut, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch away from the original flange, and then I just cut this wheel tub out. And look at all those spot welds. I don't want to drill all those out. And they're like every ½ inch. I don't even know if this is the right way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. I'm going to leave this doubled up, leave this thick, and I'm going to put the wheel tub right up against it, and we're going to see how that works. And that's a lot of drilling. And I don't know what I'm going to find back behind this. This whole car has been a hidden treasure chest. I should probably do something about this. I do have some material here. I just don't have very good fabricating skills to do it. So this is that section in the last video I was talking about where I thought the rocker was too far forward. I will probably cut this out. The wheel well is going to sit right here. I'll have to close that gap up anyway. We'll have to see how all this fits together. I don't know if we're going to have to maybe trim there, extend here. I'm not too sure. But let's test fit this thing. I've got hours just in here cleaning up all the old undercoating and rubber from those tires, from the drag radials over there. This is starting to break through a little bit right here too. We're not going to fix everything on this car. If I got to fix everything, I'm never going to get to drive this thing, to be completely honest with you. We're already in a can of worms here. Alright, let's test fit this wheel tub. Comes the law. Put a clamp on the inside of this thing once. Yeah, don't look too bad. Let's get in. Pretty sizable gap there. I'm gonna have to massage the two pieces. We'll see what we can do. I think the trunk, I'm not gonna weld any of this together until this trunk floor is in, because I think the trunk actually sits right over the top of this between these two layers, I think. We'll figure that out when we get to that point. That's not too bad. Actually, those two kind of contact right about the same time. Let's go underneath. This doesn't seem to line up too bad. This is going to be really hard to see. I don't have the greatest light. Yeah, doesn't seem too bad. To make an adjustment here. But all in all, man, I don't think that fits too bad at all. I'll cut this out and we'll just make another piece. Comes over here. Because I cut this out originally anyway, because this has to sit back behind this outer. So I'll just make a piece that comes down. Then we'll have a nice fresh piece of material here when we go to cut this tab off and move it forward, and we can join them together, get rid of this. Yeah, from back here it don't look too bad. I suppose once you get clamps, and I mean, we got hammers. We can form fit it. I like it. That fits me. That looks so much better than that. This is going to be nice. This is definitely worth the effort. We'll say that. How boogered up all that garbage was. Let's look at the old wheel housing. The old tub. There it is in all its glory. This thing was gross. This is all that undercoating and stuff that I pulled out of the dirt and rubber and from the outer. See you later, old wheel tub. You hung in there. Proud of you. I'm proud of you. Maybe I'll hang you on the wall. Highly doubted. Good morning, little small block. So on this thing this morning, yesterday, I put the trunk floor in for its first test fit. And this thing needs to move forward about 3/4 of an inch. And this thing does not fit worth a crap around the wheel wells. Got interference there, a big gap there, which I'm not really worried about the gap because I need it to move forward anyway. Up there we'll pinch that all together. I'm not worried about that. I need to figure out what to do around here to get this thing to move forward. Like I said, about 3/4 of an inch. It looks good. But looks don't mean shit if it doesn't fit. So we got a lot of hammering and bending to do today. I think these wheel tubs are right where they're supposed to be. I got them clecoed in. Everything is mocked up here. Underneath, here's our area. Got a lot of contact right here. I don't know if I can roll that over, or maybe I'll just cut that out. These two pieces. This I'm not worried about. I can always bend this, but there's a big gap between where your brace is at and the floor of the trunk. I don't like that. I don't think you want there to be a big mismatch between these two. Otherwise you're going to get nothing but dirt and water and everything else in there. I don't like that. I think the wheel wells fit pretty good in here. I like where they're at. We'll have to make a piece for this. I need to come up with a way to be able to bring this trunk floor in and out by myself. This thing is a beast to manhandle. It's not super heavy, just very awkward. So right now I've got it sitting on this table with a 2x4. And to get this in, I put it on the table and then I just walked the table in, because the trunk is wider. Then this area allows me to get, there's a damn squirrel up on the lines carrying, it looks like a tennis ball. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Rock on, little dude. Getting sidetracked. Literally. Squirrel! So I'm going to pull this thing back out. We're going to do some tweaking to it. And once I get somewhere that's worth watching, I'll bring it back in. So I'm out here working on this thing. And as if I needed more stuff added to my plate, I pulled the wheel tubs out because they're just interfering too much to get the floor forward. So I'm underneath here. Good quality stuff, AMD. Where's my flashlight? That body mount cage nut, check this out. I don't know if you can see that. There are no threads in it. They put a fucking cage nut in here that don't have threads. Yeah, AMD is the greatest. Whatever. Now I need to see if I got a 7/16/14 tap and tap that thing just like the honeymoon. That's out. That's enough. All right. All right. Crisis averted here. That is now tapped. Just went and grabbed my 7/16/14 tap, and I went through and made sure all the other ones are tapped, and it looks like they are. Good Lord. Good quality control. Why is it so hard to get good parts? Nobody gives a shit. I'm glad they make stuff to be able to do this, but man, just pay attention a little bit. It's not much to ask for. So, I'm having a hard time trying to pick up measurements from the floor to the trunk. Thinking about pulling the motor and transmission out of the chassis, positioning this underneath the Chevelle here to get my trunk placement. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. And then when I know that it's correct, I'll take some sheet metal screws, drive them home where the trunk's supposed to be, pull this back out, roll it back over here, and then I can start fitting wheel tubs to the trunk, and then I know everything is where it's supposed to be. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I need to think about this. I'm trying to avoid doing that, but I really don't have a problem doing that either. That way I know everything is going to fit. I need to take a moment and think about this. I think it's time to go eat something, think this over. think about all my life's decisions. We'll be back. Alright, so the motor and transmission I pulled back out of this chassis. While I was at it, I cleaned my shed and my garage at the same time to get a bunch of this garbage that was in my way out of here, so now I can roll this in and out freely. And I've got this to fit a whole lot better. The trunk still needs to move forward. I'd say probably about a 1/4 inch on the passenger side. But my problem was the table and the 2x4 that I had underneath this, it was binding it up. It was pushing it too far up. And as soon as I pulled that 2x4 out, this whole trunk floor relaxed, and I was able to get all of this back in to where it pretty much should be. It's really close, especially down along in here. All that lines up really pretty good now. So this was my fix for the tail panel. I got a few pinholes that I have to fill in, but essentially where I had that initial slice, I just ended up cutting the rest of it out, and then I just made a piece. And then we'll clean all this up. We'll weld in here, we'll weld here, we'll lay a little bit of weld here, and we'll just fill this in with some body filler. I think that'll work out pretty good. Same thing over here. Got a couple pinholes that I need to take care of, but at least we have a tail panel that now fits. Pretty happy with that. Alright, so we got the trunk floor back out. I think what I'd like to do is move on and get these wheel tubs welded in. I've got everything all cleaned up, prepped, and ready to go. Got weld through primer and everything back on that flange. The only thing I'm really kind of concerned about on what to do is right here. This is the rise up from the floor, and there's a series of holes, I believe, that you punch in right here to weld to this. I'll take it to the other side so you can see, but this really doesn't sit flat onto this. This kind of curves out and this curves in. I don't think I'm going to punch any holes in that because I don't even know where this is actually going to sit, because all this is still loose. Up here, this needs to get welded to the wheel tub. So when that gets welded in, this brace right here might end up coming back because the trunk floor might push this forward depending on where it locates. So kind of what I'm thinking is I think I'm going to clean up this area right here, and then I will probably take, you know, just a piece of flat stock, clean this surface up, punch a series of holes in this, clean this surface up. I think we'll just make something that fastens these two together. I think we can make that work. Actually, I know we can make that work, and I don't think it will look too bad. If I took this right to here, which I still might have to do anyway to use this, is make a cut right through here, because this doesn't even contact here, but yet we still have the trunk floor that sits in here yet. So a lot of shit going on in this little intersection right here. Other than that, I think I'm going to pull this tub back out, put some weld through primer on it, let that dry, and I think we're gonna make this its home. I think we're good here. All right, decisions have been made. I hope they're the correct ones. Let's get this thing welded in. tubs are in. They're in permanently. Inside, the back. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out for the most part. At this side, the welds are all dressed down. I just put it in some black primer over the welds. I think it looks nice. Heck of a lot better than what we started with, I'll say that. This side over here, I got to dress the welds down yet. I'll put the primer on it. Still have to make a piece that goes right in this area here. But we'll do that after the trunk floor is in. Pretty happy with it. So I think right now, while the trunk is out, I'm going to start fitting these trunk drops the way they're supposed to go. Let's see, can I do this one-handed? So they're kind of supposed to sit under like this. As you can see, they're not even close to fitting. That's all high. So I think while the trunk floor is out, I'm going to save myself the headache of laying on my back underneath the car trying to figure out what is hitting what. So that is what I'm going to start working on. So I think I think that's where we're going to call this the end of the video. I like it. Well, I think this is where we're going to wrap this video up at. I'm really happy with the way this car is starting to turn out. We're starting to get rid of the rot that's in it. It's starting to get better and better every step that we take. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to watch me struggle, put a car together. And in the words of Kiss, God gave rock and roll to you. He put it in the soul of everyone. And right now, I'm going to go exercise that soul. So thank you for watching. I'm Chris. Have a good day.